What's up everyone, I'm Uridace and I'm going to be here today to talk to you about the Uprising event on Legendary. This event's going on right now in April. It's really very tough. I gotta tell you right now, most people will probably never beat this, but it is possible, and if you are dedicated, you will be able to do it. So let's jump into it. First, hack 1 is very easy. Torb and Reinhardt will hole up in the room. Reinhardt will shield the doorway and Torb's turret. Tracer, in the meantime, will obviously go up the stairs and just shoot from afar. Mercy can go up and help her, heal her if she wants to. This hack is very easy. While you're watching this, in general, Tracer's job is always going to be to use her ult on elite enemies and, otherwise murder all the solitary enemies. Eradicators are her primary responsibility. They have a weak spot in the back, and hitting that will break their shields very quickly. Dashing interrupts line of sight and the enemy's auto aim, and it's a really good way to stay alive. Even if you don't dash behind cover, it can still stop the enemies and keep you from getting hit. You have very little health, so that is important. Reinhardt's job is to balance between damage and shielding. Fire Strike can be incredibly good and usually will be used on cooldown, especially when you'll be able to hit groups of enemies. That said, you also want to charge for Eradicators, and in the meantime, put your shield up if someone needs help. If someone goes down, you shouldn't res them, you should put a shield up so someone else can res them. Torbjorn needs to drop armor. He really needs to drop armor. Drop armor, seriously, drop armor constantly. Armor is extremely good, especially for Mercy and Tracer who really need it. Use your ult liberally as well. If things seem like they're going bad, go ahead and ult, it's okay. Mercy has a pistol, she will need to use it. Healing is important of course, as is knowing when to damage boost. Usually you'll want a damage boost when Reinhardt is hitting groups or hitting a detonator, or when you think you will need to heal constantly as well and don't want to switch to your pistol. Otherwise, switch to pistol. It does more damage, you will need to do it, focus on getting headshots. Additionally, think about your res. Feel free to use it whenever you think you even might need it. If things are dangerous, don't try to manually res, just use your ult. It's okay, it charges up quickly, and you shouldn't need it too often. Now, hack number 2 is a bit tougher. It's probably the part we died on the most during normal play, simply because things can spiral out of control really easily. We found it a lot harder than the payload defense and the end part, at least until you learn how to do it. You're going to split into 2 groups. Tracer is going to be by herself, and she'll be by the cathedral door. You'll see me there. She can't be healed from there, so, be careful. At the very beginning, you'll see a group of enemies spawn near the hack point. Kill one of the null troopers that drops down first, and then annihilate the weak point on the Eradicator to drop its shield immediately. From there, you just clean up. Keep an eye out when the enemies spawn, dash to them, and unload a clip. If you do it right, they'll die in one clip. Then move on to the next. It's like playing whack-a-mole. You're going to stay in this area the whole time. Torb should be throwing armor packs out to you so that you don't die. Once the hack gets to 100%, enemies will spawn behind you at the cathedral door. You're going to need a dash from that point all the way to the stairway with the rest of your team. Meanwhile, Reinhardt, Torb, and Mercy are going to be standing on the hack point. Torb places his turret directly in front of the hack terminal in the middle of the point, facing towards the cathedral. Reinhardt's main focus will be shielding and using his fire attack. Mercy will heal and do damage as needed. Torb will be doing the majority of the damage here, and about 50% of hack. Torb probably wants to use his ult even if he's not sure he needs it. You can get overwhelmed in this part really easily, and using the ult in advance makes sure that there are never too many enemies to handle. Use it, you won't need it any other time, just use his ult at 50%. Once the hack ends, you'll head up the left staircase, and Reinhardt can put up his shield, Torb can put down a turret, and you just wait for the enemies to come to you. This is important because there can be a ton of them left over on occasion. Now, hack 3 is pretty easy as long as everyone follows their rules. If any enemy ever gets by someone, call it out and have everyone focus it quickly. Tracer stands next to the right staircase. If an Eradicator walks down the stairs, teleport behind it and shoot its weak point. As well, watch out for null troopers on the stairs. Otherwise, you'll be watching the right door and constantly firing shots through. You do not need to walk through the doorway. You really probably should never do it. It's not necessary. I might do it in this video, I'm not sure, but I didn't need to. You probably shouldn't do it unless you're really comfortable with what you're doing. Mercy stands in the point. She'll use her pistol to kill any enemies who come through the left side door, and usually those are just going to be null troopers. If an Eradicator comes through, call it out, you're gonna need help. Torb will stand in the back. He'll jump on some boxes to get onto that balcony and place his turret up there so that it can see the whole room. From there, upgrade it to level 2, and then just throw armor packs constantly. And watch the right staircase, especially as Tracer sometimes can miss enemies that are on it, and you'll be in a good position to take them down. Reinhardt watches the left doorway and helps with the left side generally. He'll mostly be using Fire Strike and his shield, especially if there's an Eradicator. You want to block those Eradicator shots. You can occasionally step a few feet into the doorway to swing his hammer, but don't break Mercy's line of sight. As well, you can charge the Eradicators to break their shields, but never charge outside of the Cathedral. The payload defense is going to be tough until you get used to it. Practice makes perfect here. It will eventually become very easy, I promise, but at first I know it is tough. So just focus, learn your role, practice, you will be able to do this. It's all about learning how to deal with the enemies. Torb will go up on the balcony at the beginning, looking at the payload. It's right up here. Once the turret is built, it's pretty safe. Nothing will shoot it except Eradicators. If it does die, Torb just needs to put his turret down anywhere he can. He won't have time to go back upstairs, so don't do that. During the defense, Torb's job is to fill in wherever he's needed. Tracer isn't very good at killing slicers, so he can definitely do that. As well, watch for Eradicators and Null Troopers. Those are going to be a problem. Also, throw armor. Meanwhile, Reinhardt's going to be on the left side. When detonators spawn, he can swing his hammer at him to get a ton of ult charge because it counts as multiple hits. Especially when Mercy boosts him, he will do a ton of damage. You'll usually be able to spend most of your time doing damage during this defense rather than shielding, but be ready to shield if someone dies or if a Bastion spawns. Reinhardt can also take a different approach to dealing with detonators. One strategy has him charging away with a detonator. I read that on Reddit. I don't think that's necessary. I don't think it's very good. Just stand on the payload and use your shield. You can block an entire explosion, but you'll need to make sure the shield covers all the way down to the ground. For the Bastion spawns, approach them and then wait for them to go into turret forms before charging. Also, try to charge from behind the Bastion. Mercy's job is to heal when needed. You'll pistol when you can, damage boost when Reinhardt is attacking the detonators, or when Tracer is shooting Bastion or an Eradicator. You will be the person to manually res when needed, but don't hesitate to res when one person dies. Just use your judgment, decide if you can manually res or not. Your ult comes back quickly, it's okay to use it. Tracer is going to be watching the right side. You'll run up to Null Troopers and kill them in one clip as usual. You don't really worry about detonators so much, but you will worry about Bastions. You need to have a pulse bomb for every single one of them. The event begins with a countdown from 4 minutes. The first part is pretty easy. An Eradicator will spawn on one of the sides. Just call it out and Torb plus that side's defender can kill it pretty easily. At about 250, a detonator is going to spawn on the left. Reinhardt should be right there and can use his hammer to just annihilate all of the Null Troopers. With Mercy's damage boost, he should also be able to solo the detonator, though certainly everyone else can help because there's not much else to do. At 229, a detonator is going to spawn on the right. This is going to be tougher. There will probably be an Eradicator up as well. Just be careful. Tracer and Torb can kill the Eradicator if it's there, and the Null Troopers. Reinhardt should set up on the payload and await the detonator so he can block it with his shield. It is possible to kill this detonator, but it's risky, and while you're learning this event, you probably will just want to use the shield. It's a lot safer. At 154, a Bastion will spawn. It will appear out of thin air, either next to the coffee shop on the right down the street, or in the theater kind of in the middle of the area, and it will walk out onto the left side. Reinhardt and Tracer should be looking for it and call out exactly when they see it. Everyone will converge on Bastion's side. Reinhardt will charge it, again, preferably towards the payload if you can. Make sure you don't charge until he goes into turret form. If he gets back and sets up in the turret form again, Reinhardt should be shielding to protect everyone else. Tracer should drop a pulse bomb, and then everyone should just nuke him. He should die pretty quickly, especially once you get this down. You ignore literally everything else while Bastion is alive. He is top priority always, no matter what. At 128, another Bastion is going to spawn. Again, just watch out. Call it out when it comes, and clean up the Eradicators next to one if there's one up once it dies. Torb might want to ult here if anything's getting risky at all. At 52 seconds, a detonator is going to spawn on the left. Mercy should boost Reinhardt to take it out just like the first one. Tracer can walk back to the left side and kill Null Troopers if her side is clear, but don't spend too long as Bastion will be along shortly. Maybe kill one or two. About 43 seconds, the third Bastion comes. Kill him just like you did the other times. Focus on him. He's top priority. at about 20 seconds to 15 seconds, everything's gonna go really badly. Tracer's gonna leave around this time to go all the way to the door and glitch out the next section. Everyone else just basically needs to hold out. If anything's getting risky at all, just run into the building. You probably won't be able to kill the Bastion. That's okay. If you do, great. Definitely won't be able to kill the detonator. It's going to blow up. That's okay. Your payload should have tons of health and you won't need it in the next section at all. So let it get hit. It doesn't matter. Once the counter hits 0, the payload will kill all the enemies. You can res everyone and then they should get on the payload ASAP. Now, as you can see, I'm standing in the middle of nowhere with Tracer. This is what she needs to do. Put her back against the wall, shoot so she doesn't go AFK, and wait for the payload to show up. If you're standing here, enemies won't spawn. It's a really nice trick. Everyone needs to be standing on the payload because if you don't, it moves slower, and time is of the essence here. Despite there being no enemies, there is an AFK timer in the game that triggers when you don't have any combat for a certain amount of time, even if you're moving and shooting. So there's two. You need to be moving and shooting to avoid one of the AFK timers, and then you need to just do it fast to avoid the other AFK timer. If either one of those goes off, Tracer gets kicked, you're done. You start over. Once the payload gets through the door, a ton of enemies are going to spawn, and you're probably going to panic. That's great. Once you're done panicking, make a beeline to hack 1 and go up the stairs all the way across the balcony. Reinhardt should shield the hallway and wait out the Bastion tanks that are going to be attacking you. During the Orisa assault section, slow and steady wins the race, but don't waste any time. If you rush, you will lose. You need to be precise, and this is by far the hardest part in the game. For the first Orisa, you're just going to nuke her. Jump down from the balcony, Torb will begin setting up his turret, and once it's level 2, he's going to ult. Mercy will damage boost him. In the meantime, Reinhardt and Tracer are going to be nuking the Orisa. Reinhardt should ult with his shockwave, and then charge her all the way out to the area in the wall below the balcony. This will make her by herself. She'll be really easy to kill. When he charges, just watch out for the Bastion turret. It can wreck his day. So be careful when you're doing that, but if you can get that charge, and you can always, that's part of the luck, then things are going to go very well. You're going to move around the right side. Tracer can teleport forward and pulse bomb him and then rewind back. Meanwhile, Reinwald will shield to provide cover and then charge him into the far wall. He should be close to dead by the time he gets back to the spot. Reinhardt can shield to block a few shots if needed, and everyone else can finish off the Bastion. If you get the first tank Bastion, it can spawn directly in front or behind you. Watch out. Either way, just move out into the back entryway and wait to fight him. Reinhardt should not charge without ulting first. If Reinhardt charges without ulting, he will often miss. The tank Bastion's hitbox is very unforgiving, so ult first. He'll be standing still then. You can charge him into a wall. He will be almost dead by the time that happens. Then Torb and everyone else can just finish him off. You want to always save Reinhardt's ult for this. Do not use Reinhardt's ult for anything else unless it's absolutely necessary. For the second Bastion turret, you're going to post up in the same area where you fought the first Bastion. Reinhardt will shield, Torb will ult and snipe from afar, and Mercy will use her pistol, not damage boost Torb. The goal is to just hit the Bastion from so far away that he can't kill you. If Reinhardt's shield is going to break, everyone can just take cover, heal up, deal with a few of the enemies until Reinhardt's shield is ready to go again, then you can continue on. It shouldn't take too long to kill this Bastion turret. When the Bastion's dead, the team can move up. The second tank Bastion will spawn, sometime around here. Treat it the same as the first. Be careful. For the second Orisa, Tracer can dash down the hallway into this doorway right here. It's a safe location and she can focus on 1, knocking shields off Eradicators, or 2, hitting Orisa. Best case scenario, Orisa will drop her shield facing you instead of the team, which means she's definitely gonna die. Reinhardt should charge her back towards the entrance if possible, but beware the Bastion turrets in the final room, so he can't walk out too far. It's only if she walks towards him that he will be able to do that. Ideally, you want to kill this Orisa around 3 minutes left on the timer, but you should not give up if it's lower. If it's lower than 3 minutes, you might want to start thinking about rushing things a little bit, which again is dangerous. So do what you're comfortable with, but be aware of the time. 3 minutes is the goal, but it's not strictly required. For the third Bastion turret, Torb and Mercy are going to set up on the road and snipe it from afar with cover from Reinhardt's shield, just like last time. Tracer can move up the left side and then dash all the way behind the Bastion, but as you can see here, it wasn't really necessary. If your team is having more trouble with the Bastion, it can be helpful. You definitely don't want to do what I do here and accidentally rewind and fall off the walkway and somehow not die. The run almost ended right there, which would have been really bad. It didn't though, luckily. Just don't do this. Play safe. If you don't really need to go down there to kill the Bastion turret, don't do it. Sometime during this time, the third tank Bastion is going to spawn. Everyone should deal with that except Tracer if she's with the third Bastion turret. If not, obviously Tracer helps as well. You treat it the same as before, maybe not going back quite so far, but be safe. Use Reinhardt's charge and his shockwave, and it'll die. The last Orisas are going to take some time, which is why you wanted a lot left. If there's not a ton of time left, then again, be a little more aggressive. You might even have to charge in, but that's probably going to end in a failure. So do the best you can to just fight the first Orisa from afar. Tracer will do her best, but mostly will be there just to deal with any adds. Meanwhile, Torb and Mercy can snipe Orisa and hopefully get that first one down with about 45 seconds left on the timer. That's what you need if you want to play this safely. Once the third is dead, the fourth should be alone, and you'll now be low on time. Reinhardt should shield walk to protect everyone else from the last Bastion turret that we're never going to kill. Everyone just runs over to the left side, and they won't get hit by that Bastion. Once everyone's safe, Reinhardt can charge the Orisa, hit her into the wall, and then everyone just goes after her. Play safe, don't die. Mercy will be focused on healing people and damage boosting when they can, and Orisa should die in about 20 seconds. When she dies, it's over. You got it. Congrats, everyone.